Sup, Dev Brief out today for How Let Loose, Armor Reworks, Stalingrad, and Update 18. As you can see right there. Seen a couple vids, mainly from PC and non-OCE players, so we'll have a look, put our spin on it, and see where it's going. As you can see from the title, I actually don't currently have this game installed because I just got sick of the gameplay loop, to be honest. But we'll see if this changes anything about that. So, to start with, talking about PTE, that means nothing to console because they do that via Steam. But that you might see some vids out there from PC players going through the Stalingrad refresh, even though that's a picture of Kursk. I don't understand that. Who cares? Future game shows, so this looks like a bit of an expo, which How Let Loose probably attending. Interesting, you'd think this would be for new games, but I guess it's constantly in development, so yeah, I don't know if you're going to watch that, but that's there. Now, with the ongoing development of this game, you'd almost call it live service in a way where you purchased or received the game however you got your hands on it a few years ago, whatever, and it's continuing to be updated, but there's really not much revenue for the developer. They've got the odd cosmetics, which is really the only way to support the developer. So what they're really looking for here while improving the game is actually new players to get a return on all of this investment. So I kind of want to look at it with that lens when looking at updates, because really they care about existing players to the extent of it needs a player base to bring new players in, but that's not where their sale is. So you want to sort of keep that in mind when you're looking at updates. So the first actual substantial thing here is armor rework. They're bringing in a Tinkerer loadout. Interesting. Deeper immersion for every member of the tank squad. So, balancing. This is probably not a bad thing. Because at the moment, you revert to a heavy tank to deal with everything. Because it can deal with everything. So they want to emphasize the unique performance characteristics of each tank, encourage strategic diversity, and highlight faction-based asymmetry, reflecting the nature of a real-world historical warfare. That's what How Let Loose has always done very well, is be historically accurate, even at the expense of balancing the game. That's really polarizing thing, because some people love that, some people absolutely hate it. But I'd say, honestly, it would just make the game more interesting. So, not a terrible thing there. But what that probably means in practice is that, like, if I don't know, say for example, a heavy Sherman came up against a Tiger in real life, they want the game to lean more towards how that fight would play out versus making it fair for both sides. They want to reinforce the role of tanks as powerful game-changing tools suited to a wide range of battlefield scenarios. So the tank is already the big gun in a fight. So reinforcing that role, I'm taking reinforce and wide range here, I think, to say they want it to be more diverse in how it's used in a game, rather than taking some high ground and overlooking an area they might want. I don't know. You get what I mean, though. But that's very cryptic. Improve the viability of the medium and light tanks, increasing their relevance and usage during matches. This change will complement the upcoming heavy tank limitations. So it's quite clear here they want to basically nerf the heavy and buff the medium and light, so more people use the medium and light. That's not terrible, because as I touched on earlier, your default is to get a heavy tank because it can deal with everything. Just a bit more jargon through here. So it really isn't telling us anything. Breaking down the stats into 3 distinct adjustable stat groups, we can better balance the tanks. So I don't know if that's adjustable by player or adjustable by developer. One of the stats groups focuses on the tank's, I can't read today, tank's offensive capabilities. Each tank will now have specific stats assigned to its weapons, including muscle velocity, shell drop distance, reload time, damage output for AP and HE, turret speed, depression, and elevation angles, and the power of its coax. That's got to be a dev stat group then. That seems too complex to be a player thing. But that can't be a bad thing, making that more diverse. As long as it is balanced with infantry. So if you nerf the Tiger really hard, you want to make sure the Panzerschreck is, I mean, it's already buffed compared to the Bazooka, but you want to make sure that infantry, because you still need balance in the game. If you wanted complete historical accuracy, just go and watch National Geographic, It's still a game. You still want to have a winner and loser, and you don't want that to be determined by the faction that you're playing. In addition to stat balancing, tank traversal. Enhancements to hit detection. That's good. Hitboxes. Impact on objects. Better traversal over trenches. That's probably a Fubar update there. He's probably sent an email to Team 17 and asked them to fix that for him. Yeah. Until we actually know what that means, that doesn't really matter. Impact on objects, though. That's interesting. But they can't be talking about, like, map destruction, because that's a whole engine thing. Like, game engine thing. Condition-specific behavior for tanks. So tanks will respond dynamically to the surface that they're driving on, with performance changing depending on terrain types, such as muddy ground, urban streets, or open fields. That's cool. So put that into, I suppose, practice with what we have now. I suppose where you drive the tank just really depends on the obstacles, right? And the cover that you have. So you're not deterred from a road by much, except for whether there's a long sightline down it and whether you have the stronger front armor. But if the terrain makes you more likely to take the road, that actually does have a pretty significant change to how the game plays. Because you, as an anti-tank player, either with another tank or a rocket or a satchel, you're more likely to see a tank on a nicer surface with this. And that must be a decent change to the actual game engine. So there's a fair bit going in here. In addition, have I read this bit? Tank commanders choose between speed advantage. Yeah, we talked about that. Players will now have the ability to adapt their vehicles mid-match through tank alterations using the new Tinkerer tool. Work in progress title. Yeah, bet it is, because that is a shit name. Change that, please. Like roster for your next comp game. You'll be the Tinkerer this weekend? No thanks. Just call it like... No, you can't call it engineer because it's already an engineer. I don't know. Call it mechanic. Like, easy. Powerful new tool, blah, blah, blah. Augment an existing trait of a tank. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That's just mansplaining what it will do. We can already infer that. Tell me actually what we can do. So here's some examples of potential Tinker types and their effects and trade-offs. So that's telling me it's not an exhaustive list. It's going to be worked on. Mobility upgrade. You will remove the heavy loads or armor to improve mobility. This will increase acceleration and faster turning speed. However, in turn, the tank will have decreased deceleration. Interesting. Along with reduced armor and health. That can't hurt. It's good. Turret tuning. Tuning the electronics or hydraulic systems will allow for faster turret movement, including rotation speed and damage. Hold on. Faster turret movement, including rotation speed, and that doesn't make a lot of sense, but I see. So they're trying to say it'll turn faster and the turret will deliver more damage. By enacting this, Tinker, you will trade speed for slower reload times and potential jams, as the increased speed is temporary. So that, to me, sort of like an ability that you'd have in like an MMO game where you'd activate it and it lasts for 3 minutes or something. Potential jamming is cool. So far, these are quite immersive. Armor bracing. If you are under heavy fire, you may feel that applying additional armor or reinforcing existing armor plating will be your best move. In this approach, you'll gain increased armor on the front side or rear. So you can choose that, I suppose, because they've said or. However, will give up on you speed with a decrease in top speed as well as slower turning. So obviously more armor, lower mobility. That's a given there. So that's the end of that Tinkerbell section. That's cool. I like that, although they want to make the game more historically accurate by probably unbalancing the tanks more, because to me that's how that reads further up. They're actually letting you choose. So that can't be a bad thing. I've always said with games, let the player base choose. Let them decide, I want a 3-hour game, I want a 10-minute game. You can't go wrong as a developer there. Because if it fucks up, it's the player's fault. And they know that. So that's a green light for me. Some people say, "Oh, why, man, why you gotta fuck with it?" But they probably haven't played the game long enough to get bored of it. So you do need. I think that's a refreshing update. And I didn't really play it properly on release. I only sort of played it for about 3 years in total, but yeah, that was enough time to sort of go through the gameplay loop a million times, and this is refreshing. Heavy tank limitations. Rather than balancing all tanks into a uniform meta to match the power of heavy tanks, we're embracing their role as the strongest but rarest and most impactful assets. In Update 18, heavy tanks intend to be high impact, blah blah blah, rather than early game tools, so bigger cooldown, that means. Yep. We've been increasing the cooldown period, with the timer now beginning only after the vehicle has been destroyed, rather than when it is first deployed. In addition, the number of heavy tanks available will be capped at 2 at any given time. That's huge. Because as we know, a strat in a 49's competitive match is to stack your heavies, and once you get 3 on the board, start a steamroll. That is massive to a lot of game plans. But this alone increases the viability of smaller tanks, because if there's less heavies, by default, you will see more mediums and lights and recons. So even if you didn't touch the smaller tanks, this change does achieve what you're looking for in reducing the heavy tank spam. I don't know if it's a positive or negative change, because it goes away from the let the player choose how to play the game, because you're choosing for them that they can only have 2. I don't know how to feel about that. I know there will be a lot of anger about this. But where I'm sitting, I'm wanting a shake-up to make me more interested in the game, and this does achieve that. But it'll be really interesting coming into comps, especially 49s, not so much the smaller games, how this is worked around. Do they just drop a whole crew, or do they have a medium? That's interesting. Immersion improvements. Update tank audio dynamically. Various factors, including the map. Interesting. So the map will determine the audio that is being played while in the tank. That can't be bad, unless they break it, but yeah, that could be cool. Other new update features. Alongside the updates to Stalingrad, as well as our armor upgrades, we're adding a host of other features. Here we go. Picking up supplies. Okay. So basically, if you put down the supplies and they're not used, you can pick them back up. That's good. Again, lets the player choose what they want to do, how they want to play the game. Only the player who placed it can pick them up. That makes sense from a functionality point of view. There's probably no actual ability for a rifleman to have a box in their kit, so that makes sense. Other team members cannot pick up friendly. You sort of already said that there, but just clarified it. Supply box cannot be picked up if any supplies have been used, subject to change. I mean, if the supply box is only 50, unless you're building barbed wire, most of the shit will use the whole thing anyway, so it's not a big deal. This does not affect commander supply drops or supply truck drops, obviously. I mean, one thing that could be cool that they could do is allow you to pick up the supply truck box, because it's a dead giveaway of where your garrison is. So if you could even just delete it, like it's used 50, it's still got 100 there, but you just delete it, that would be handy. Because the supply truck currently doesn't have a supplies inventory, it's got a number of boxes, so it holds 2 boxes. So if you were to pick it back up, it would record as 2 boxes, which doesn't make sense. Feedback form. Future armor additions. Self-propelled arty. This has been talked about for years. Think of this new vehicle type as artillery on wheels. This is the first step towards the overall artillery rework coming to LS in 2025, which will allow squads of 2 to take the functionality of artillery, move around the battlefield relatively freely. Okay. 2 points there. The first one is, currently you can't reach the whole map with arty, and that means if you can move it forward, you could then reach the enemy HQ. Don't think that's good for balancing, because if you've pushed a team right back to HQ and then you get 3 mobile arty guns hitting each one of the HQ spawns, I suppose when you spawn at HQ, you spawn in like quite a wide area, but that could lead to a relatively unbalanced game. And the other thing is, the way that people counter arty at the moment is by usually sending a sniper there to go and shoot them off. So if you can move the arty, you're taking that ability away a little bit, but you'll still be able to hear it. You can hear it from the other side of the map, so it won't be hard to find. What I'd like to know is whether it's like a tank. Okay, so it's a vehicle, so therefore you can kill it, I assume. Do you have to purchase it back, or is it a default spawn? That'll be interesting. And yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if, I feel like the maps aren't big enough for that. Unless they're nerfing arty altogether, so it has less range, so then therefore you need to drive this up. But as most of the comps on console are now, you can't kill arty, so that's sort of that. I mean, that might allow for for opening up that rule a bit, making it a bit more interesting. It may also lead to anger. Whether it replaces the guns or is an additional thing is a very important thing to know, but that's interesting to look at. War correspondence taking over. I think a war correspondent is like just a creator that's tight with this dev team. Taking over the official Twitch. Oh, there we go. Respora and Fresh Baked Goods and Das. Go and watch him. He's a good bastard. He actually came into the Let's Let Loose Discord and gave some valuable insights on the PC side and streaming. So, got a lot of time for him. So, there's your dates and times. PST. I don't know. Can't remember. I'm trying to convert it from what the Battlefield beta was, but I can't remember what time that was. And that's it. So, sum it up. PTE, don't care. Tank balancing, it's a bit unknown at the moment. Condition specific, like terrain specific, cool. Tinkerer, change the name, but cool. That sort of, I don't know about the limiting heavy tanks yet. Just have to see how it plays out. Audio immersion, good. Picking up supplies, can't hurt. Lets the player choose how they want to play. Arty, not enough info yet, but could be cool. Does it tell us when this is happening? Probably does. I just skimmed past it. PTE is the 15th, so tomorrow. Wonder if that has. Does that have all of the? I don't know if all of this shit is in update 18 or if it's further. Oh no, it will make an appearance. Maybe I download it on Steam. Might do it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Let me know your scathing reviews of this or your happy, lovely comments in the comments. If I'd just like to use the like button as a gauge of do you like it. If you don't like it. If you do. I'll do more. And sub it up if you want to be notified of new vids. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.